they said there's traditional foods. I'm really excited about it.
Open a book guide about Lanzarote and you get to the village of Yaisa, you would always read that it's famous because it won twice the award of being the cleanest one of the whole of Spain, and they are very proud and conscious and everything, and since then they've won more awards. And these, in the case of the eruptions that I was telling you about, that they took place over there on your left hand side where we are going, it was back in the 18th century. They started in 1730 and they ended in 1736. Yes, as I was telling you, 6 years. So in this case, this was a lucky village. The lavas were getting really close, but then they found a non-level hilly landscape that took them down to the ocean. And as the priest of this village was writing, witnessing what was happening, when the lavas entered the sea, big columns of smoke went up to the sky, and big part of Lanzarote was totally dark, and poached fish were floating along the coast. Tremendous testimony, the only one that we have of what happened here, because the priest of this village, he was one of the 4 or 5 people that knew how to read or write back at that time. All I can tell you is that the farmers are very happy because Lanzarote rains 10-15 days altogether all around the year. Yes, and this island, nothing stops the clouds, and then there's many hours of sun, and it's the only island of the 7 that has no underground water at all. If you go to the other Canary Islands, you find the sloping roofs, for example, but here people had to collect water with the rooftop of the houses that will always end in a deposit. And they were sending us the water with boats from the other islands until it became a moment that Lanzarote could not continue that way because the people were already coming on holidays and more population, everything, and that's why the first desalination plant in the whole of Spain started producing water here in the year 64, and that's how we manage. This year the farmers were moaning about no rain, and well, probably this helps a little bit. It's true that then it evaporates very quick, because as I was telling you, by 12 it was supposed to be finishing. And this area, the volcanic area where we are going now, it was protected as a national park in the year 74, and they decided to call it Timanfaya in honor to the first village out of the 11 that were destroyed in this area of the island, that it was the richest area. They were growing cereals and people had to move. New villages were created in another areas of Lanzarote, and the symbol of the national park is the devil. The devil telling you that there's heat deep in the earth, like where we're going to go later, as I was telling you. And we are nearly there. The first stop, as I was saying, should be the camel ride. We are looking at the clouds, Martin and me, seeing where the wind is going, but I think we could be lucky for this first stop at the camel ride. These animals, they are obstinate but sensitive, loyalty with the owner until death. They have a great memory compared to an elephant. You do something to a camel today, you come in 5 years time, they remember you for good or for bad. And they are vegetarian animals that they get a dry feeding mix of fruits and cereals. And they're misunderstood creatures. They won't bite or spit unless they think you are attacking them, only to defend themselves, but not viciously as some people think. And the camel we have here is the dromedary, which is the African one with one hump, because the other one is the camel Bactrian from Asia, and it has 2 humps. That's the story, that millions of years ago this animal was as big as a donkey. They went to different areas of the world, and then they've developed the differences that now they have. So all the dromedaries are camels, but not all the camels are dromedaries. And there in front you can see what I was telling you about, the devil holding the sign, Timanfaya National Park. Yes, and 1974. You see, a moon landscape, as I was telling you, like if it was 2 weeks ago. The volcanologists, they love it because if this will be covered with vegetation, you won't be able to look at the materials like you can see it. I was telling you about the evacuation plan, but in the Canary Islands, in historical times, only 2 persons died. This was the eruption of the year 71 in the island of La Palma. This was a photographer with a fisherman in a little boat getting close to where the lavas were entering the sea, and the gases killed them. Why no more people dead? If I've told you earlier that every 22 years there is an eruption, it's because of the volcanology that we have in these islands. That is very similar to the Hawaiian Islands. And that means slopes of lava that they will, yes, flow along for 10, 15 miles. The islands, they get bigger with that. What happened with La Palma, this last eruption, the surface of the island was increased. Imagine with this one of 6 years, it was increased quite a lot, the Lanzarote. Then the slopes of lava, they flow very slowly, like 700 yards per hour. Then the loose materials will be ashes. The ashes, they look like fireworks. Those mountains, for example, there in front of you, a bit on your left, they were all covered with the ashes. The different colors is because during the eruption, the minerals like iron transmits a red color, or the gas sulfur like a yellow color. The black dominates, is basalt. Yeah. So that is why not many dangerous gases with this type of volcanology. Exactly, the volcanology of the Canary Islands is a combination of the Hawaiian one with this is Italian, Strombolian. Okay, so it's not a bad one. That's why no more people dead. There's only one different volcano in the Canaries to the rest. It's Mount Teide. Okay, it's Mount Teide. Mount Teide is a big monster. The good thing is not awake very often. Last time it was 2,000 years ago, because that will be a Plinian volcano. That's for you to understand. I put an example, Vesuvius, with what happened with Pompeii, or many of the very dangerous Japanese volcanoes are also Plinian. So well, that's Mount Teide, the only one. The rest, and I think we are doing well, because the rain is coming from behind us in that direction. So we are like persecuting these clouds of rain that they are going, and we are nearly arriving to where the camels are. And until the next shower, I think there's half an hour or 40 or 45 minutes or even more. So good, let's go for it, because if it continues raining, it could become a moment that the owners of the camels, they will say, we go back, we take them back. And that's it, because people will not stop. And so I remind you the story at €6, 20-25 minutes, 2 baskets, which is more comfortable than on top of the hump. And then great views. The best, I think, in this case is where they do it, because it's in the middle of the national park. Something possible, because they were here, families coming with camels when this wasn't yet a national park. And if you are on your own, you can also ride a camel with no problem at all. Before you go with a sack of gravel, I will try to find someone in your same situation, so you go together. Better company, someone human, rather than a sack of gravel. We will organize a day. Michael, we are 3. I am on my own. No problem. Please be back on time. I tell you in some stops a time to leave, but not for Martina, for me. We don't mind to finish 20 minutes, half an hour later, but it's not fair that 40 people are waiting for 2 who are choosing if the postcard with the camel is nicer than the one with the sunset. You understand me? Look at the camels, there they are.
Ella wants to go on. She might be able to go Granddad.
Please, those of you not riding the camel, because it's optional, can go for a walk around, stay inside the bus, take pictures. You are already in the national park. Camel riders, I take you to where you pay now, because you must go, please, the same group all together, because we are a group, they know, so they put you in the same row of camels, so you go at the same, and then you all come back at the same time. When you finish the ride, please come back to the bus directly. And now, follow me, please.
Here it goes. Ah!
Thank you to the man. Gracias. Now is when we're going to meet again at the bus to do the
Totally destroyed around 30 hamlets, besides causing serious damage to another 20 small villages. Large areas under cultivation were also destroyed, together with crops, barns, water catchments, pasture lands and livestock. The inhabitants of the affected area were gradually losing hope until they finally left, moving to other parts of the island or even further afield. It is estimated that almost half of the population of Lanzarote had emigrated only 5 months after the eruptions began. At one stage it was even suggested that the entire island be evacuated. This part of the island, which consisted of small, isolated and thinly populated hamlets extending over the entire region, suffered complete devastation. Their names were Tingafa, Mancha Blanca, Santa Catalina, Peña Palomas, Maretas, San Juan, Jaretas, Timanfaya, Testina, Rodeo and Mazo. Now, almost 3 centuries later, life pulsates in the midst of the seas of lava and continues to expand. More than 800 species of animal life and plants have been noted within its confines, mostly terrestrial, but some in the sea. Organisms that live directly on the rocks are birds, lizards, and above all, various species of lichens, besides some unusual nocturnal insects that feed on microscopic particles carried by the wind. These are principally beetles and crickets, which may be similar to the pioneer creatures which made their home on the island when Lanzarote emerged from the sea millions of years ago. The largest known form of animal life is the gira vulture, which feeds on carrion and nests in the craters of the volcanoes of the Fire Mountains. The smallest is a tiny cave-dwelling insect measuring less than 1 millimeter in length.
No, you don't need trouble.
Very fluid lava flows poured from the cones of the volcanoes, which spread out till reaching the coast. Some of the immense streams of molten lava flowed through subterranean channels, allowing us to see the red and black colors of the lava. Petrified stalactites and stalagmites stand as mute witnesses to the burning flows of lava. The landscape of Timanfaya gives the impression of a desert, where aridity and temperature fluctuations of 20 degrees between day and night would make it almost impossible for animal life to exist. All one sees are small succulent plants or thorn bushes in the Valley of Tranquility landscape, where time seems to have stood still under the pressure of the intense heat. Volcanic rains are the most predominant of all materials emitted during the eruptions, whose texture contrasts with that of the magma seen in the Sea of Lava. only a minimum of plant life takes root in these areas, where even lichens are very rare. The volcanoes which form Timanfaya National Park were formed during powerful eruptions of basaltic magma. In some ways, they resemble those of Hawaii. This category of volcano emits huge amounts of lava whilst projecting moderate amounts of grains several hundred meters into the air. These grains are carried by the wind and deposited around the areas of their emission. Located at the base of the Macizo del Fuego is a laboratory which registers volcanic movement in Timanfaya. Seismic activity is monitored round the clock in this observatory, as well as deformation of the surface and thermal and gas emissions. During the ascent of Macizo del Fuego, we can clearly see the fissural characteristics of the eruption, as all central emission points are aligned along one single fault. When the eruptions finally ceased, the projected materials cooled down, but emissions of gas continued for a long period of time. This caused differing phenomena to the outer appearance of emitted materials, resulting in the great kaleidoscope of colors we are now able to observe.
when I needed someone who wasn't getting over you. When I move to the side, when I move, call you mine, and I know what you're feeling. I'ma take you for a ride.